Good evening, everyone. March 3rd, 2025, 7 p.m. Select board meeting, as a customary, if you can join us, in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. How are you, Chief? How you doing? Good evening. Good, good. I know we got some exciting news tonight, and we got police pin in ceremony, and Laura's all yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We have Ryan Falvey. Ryan came to us as a transfer police officer from Northbridge, where he's been for the last 9 years. He grew up there, comes from a long line of police officers. His dad and uncles were all police officers in Milford. Ryan's married to his wife Jenny, has 2 daughters, Madeline and Charlotte. And look at this, I'm doing this without notes, so I think the names out first before they got messed up in the head. He was a motorcycle officer in Northbridge and was on the regional Semlec motorcycle unit, and went to the academy with Steve Hole, Chris Padula, and Amy Kirby from here, and they all carpooled together. So a lot of our people knew him for a long time, since going to the academy together almost 10 years ago in Randolph. And so we were able to grab him now that we exited civil service, and our hiring is a little easier to bring in some experienced folks. Ryan's got an associates in criminal justice, and he's going to be doing a quick orientation with our field training people for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then you'll see him out and about wherever the magic dice land him for a shift bid. So he's going to be pinned by his daughters. Hopefully no one staff.
That's awesome.
Oh, they look really excited.
Oh, I'm just waiting.
Usually we have the fire department here in case anything goes wrong.
He's got the best on, so it doesn't go through.
She's excited. She's gonna get that.
Yeah. Like taking this real serious.
Look at that smile.
I love it.
Matching dress with her.
Yeah, I love it.
There you go.
Sit down here. Great to have somebody from Northbridge. I am also from Northbridge, so right here is good. Is that good? Yeah, right here, yeah. Push a little. Okay, so you will now take the oath of office for new officers within the Bellingham Police Department. Do you solemnly swear that you will perform your duties as a police officer for the town of Bellingham, that you will not betray the integrity or the character of the department or the trust of the residents of Bellingham, that you will treat all individuals with dignity and respect and ensure that your actions are dedicated to ensuring the safety of the Bellingham community and the preservation of human life, that you always hold yourself and others accountable for their actions, maintain the highest ethical standards, uphold the values of the department and the town of Bellingham, and that your actions will be bound by the charter and bylaws of Massachusetts and the constitutions of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the United States of America.
I do.
Congratulations.
Like you just left this one.
This
This is Saturday.
Yeah. Then I was back Saturday night. Not bad.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep it 2 more minutes. Okay.
All right, good evening
Good
again.
evening.
So, I get the unceremonious duty of being elected chair of the police station building committee. So as chair, I'll report that we met today. And with the architect, we went over the bids that were received. The low bids company called Coletta out of Seekonk. Good news is to report that when you do these public construction projects in Mass, there's an entity called DCAM. And within that, all the contractors who are registered to do public projects in Mass basically have a scorecard, a grading card. It's like a review process from other projects they've done. This contractor scored a 97. So anything above 70, it's basically very hard to say no to somebody if they get the bids. It's getting almost a perfect score, which is good to see. And we looked at all these sub bidders for the specialty work like tile, plumbing, things like that. And they all had scored higher than a 95. So our low bidders all look really good on paper, and the architectural firm was pretty pleased with them. So we voted unanimously to recommend to the board to put forward the motion that is in the paperwork to award the bid for the police station project to Coletta. So that is what we are asking, and if anyone has any questions, hopefully Chris can answer them probably better than me, but.
Is there anybody with a question?
No, just make the motion.
Absolutely. Mr. Martinez,
Well,
please.
within the budget, yeah. I move to award contract 2025 BPLREX Bellingham Police Locker Room Expansion, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Coletta Contracting Company, 44 Hollister Road, Seekonk, Mass. 02771.
Second.
We got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good
work.
Well, time for the photo ops.
That was the easiest one, you know? In a lot of ways. Thank you, Chief.
Now you're trying to look thin in the picture.
Okay. So, next one on the agenda, Parks Commission interview. I know we have a few of these, and usually what we do, first of all, thanks for your time. The first one will be Douglas Martin. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
And basically just, we're gonna ask a few things, and it's, why you interested in the job, just please tell us about yourself. And then what we do is actually, after we go through everything, and, we make the decision, and we take the vote on the next meeting.
Just in case there's any discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, that's the kind of, the way we have been doing it, and then basically we're gonna continue to do the same way. Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
My name is Doug Martin. I've been living in town almost 13 years now. I have a wife and 2 kids, 11 and 14. We live on 10 Dupree Road, right near Silver Lake. My background is I'm a licensed civil engineer. I worked for a private firm for just almost 14 years, and for the last almost 5 years, I've been with the town of Franklin. I'm the water and sewer superintendent over there.
Fantastic.
The reason why I wanted to join the Parks Commission, so obviously with my kids, we've greatly enjoyed all the fields and parks in town, especially Silver Lake.
Yep.
So I see that we have these resources, and I want to make sure that we can continue to use them. But I also see some room for improvement, so I'd like to, look at some ideas of, are there, rec programs that we can provide, like our neighboring towns like Franklin and Rentham. Are there also like improvements that we can make to the existing parks and fields? So hopefully, with the Parks Commission, that's something that we can start looking at and work from.
That's fantastic. Thanks for actually stepping up, and then we want to be part of it. This great town. I don't have any questions, but if anybody would like to have any questions, Mrs. Altamonte, Mr. Lagashi, Mr. Martinez, or Mr. Hennessy.
No question, but thank you for stepping up and
Yeah.
having those 2 kids, I'm sure will be a great vantage point to see what we can do better.
Yes.
Having them as a resource, so
Yeah.
thank you for taking that on.
I think your resume speaks for itself. It was very good and very detailed, and you certainly have the experience we're looking for. So that's really nice.
I appreciate you very much. Just put your hand up saying I'd like to help out, you know, having small children, you've got a bird's eye view of what is being through. I just have a question maybe for Dennis. How many positions, I forget now, how many we have? on the-
There are three. There's Bill Roberts is the only sitting
Oh,
commissioner.
so
and
there's
has
two
been
vacancies, right?
Vacancies and have been for
For a
quite some
while.
time.
Yep, I understand. That's what I wanted, just great. I have no
Yeah.
further questions. Thank you
And
very
that's
much.
something that the public should know too,
Yeah.
because if they don't, let's tell them
Yep.
tonight, we still have one more vacancy
more
on this board, which we would love to see someone step up
Mhm.
like you did.
Yeah.
to fill.
And Bill's done a great job, but
Bill is, Bill is Bill.
Yeah.
He's like an icon.
yeah.
Mr. Hennessy?
No, thank you for stepping up. I have no questions.
And I don't have any questions too. I think, you know, it's, like everyone said, you know, it's, you have absolutely fantastic background. Obviously, you have kids, little kids, and then, you know, we would love to, see him, grow, and then while we get him involved with the town, and, greatly appreciate it for your time.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
And I'll be in
Yes,
touch in
sir.
a few weeks.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to wait another meeting? I mean, if
Well,
we're,
it's just kind of customary
I
that
know.
we have a lot of them tonight, so that's,
okay,
and then I was gonna present them all
fair enough.
on the seventh.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Alright.
All right. I just.
Thank you so much.
Get it going.
No
worries.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Bartlett.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, take care.
Next one is, Common Trustee, Leonard Holden. Mr. Holden, how are you? Pleasure to have you,
Good to be here.
and, floor is yours. Why don't you-
My name is Lenny Holden. We moved to Bellingham about 9.5 years ago from Hopkinton. We chose Bellingham for a lot of reasons: character, size, proximity to 495, lower taxes than Hopkinton. Most importantly, our grandkids are here and we want to watch them play sports. In Hopkinton, I was elected, appointed, and volunteered for various positions, some being 2 terms as selectman, 25 years on Parks and Recreation Commission, and most recently, the chairman of the committee charged to renovate the fountain of the Hopkinton Town Common for their 300th anniversary. In Bellingham, I worked with Larry and Amy as an election worker and at town meeting. It was Larry that told me about the opening of this position. I'm interested in this position because I see our common as an important part of our town. It's the gateway to Bellingham at the crossroad of 2 state highways. Today, it's hard to believe it's the same location as LMAX was with acres of hot top in front of it. I think it's great to see the common used for a wide variety of events throughout the year. In this position, I would like to help promote and protect the common for our current and future residents, and I respectfully ask you to vote.
Mr. Holden, greatly appreciate it. You definitely, will, bring a lot of knowledge and, town common to our student, and, we definitely see you around town as well, and I greatly appreciate it for stepping up as much as possible. I have no further questions. Mrs. Altamonte, Mr. Sebastian, Mr.
No.
Martinez, or Mr. Hennessy, if you have any questions,
I think
please,
he comes
do
with
so.
come with a great deal of experience, which is what we always need, so that's wonderful.
No, I have nothing. I just like to sincerely thank you for stepping up and wanting to contribute your time to the town of Bellingham and your experience. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, we, moving right along, and great to appreciate it for everyone as well. And next one is gonna be a Board of Health interviews. Deborah Bush, and, how you doing? Good? Thanks for your time, great to appreciate it, and, why don't you, just tell us about yourself a little bit?
My name is Deborah Bush. I've been in Bellingham now for a little over 1.5 years, which is wonderful. I've always had an interest in public health. My background is I've had some nursing experience and worked in many medical facilities. I've also, my late husband was also a health agent in a municipality, which I've had experience doing things with him and learning along those lines. My career, I retired 5 years ago as executive director for a municipality for 35 years. So I've had a lot of experience in public correspondence and working with other departments and everything, but public health has always been an interest of mine to maintain and to work with residents. So this has always been an opportunity for me if I'm granted that.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much.
No, not at all. But I'll just echo what we've been saying to everybody. We really appreciate you stepping up. And thank you. It's nice to see someone that has some health experience background. And we really appreciate you coming here tonight and stepping up and wanting to, support the town.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you, thank you. And Elena Almeida. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good,
Thanks
good.
for having
Thanks for
me.
waiting patiently, we try to move as quick as we can, and it's, thanks for your time, and it's, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit, and then why you're interested in this position?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Taunton. I've been in Bellingham for a little over 2 years. I came here to settle down with my family. I have 2 little ones at home. Yeah, my family moved over to Douglas, so we just kind of wanted to be with them. My background is I work as a registered dietitian, been doing that for a little over 10 years. The other part of my background is that I work in healthcare management. I manage a team of 13 dietitians who do outpatient counseling. They work in the hospital. I guess what has drawn me to this board is, promoting the health and safety of our community. I have been interested in municipal government for a bit. I guess I just don't really feel like I have much of a say in the outside of, sorry, I'm trying to think of how to articulate this, in the government across the country, but I could make a difference here in our community.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. At work, I'm involved in policy development within my scope for, nutrition care. I'm on the other side of regulatory audits. And it's been a great interest of mine to be involved in the other side of policy development, regulatory standards.
That's fantastic.
good.
Yeah, it starts with the slow steps, and then, it's, I get excited when I hear people, they would like to get involved, and I appreciate it for your time. And, obviously, you excited, you got little ones, and then, invested in the whole, town and community, and then I think it's a great thing. And, I have no further questions. If anybody else would like to say anything, please do so.
Just to cover the 2 open spots.
2 open
That's
spots.
what I thought.
As a result of the change. in
Right,
the,
yeah,
charter.
with the charter, that's correct. So there was 3 and we have 5. I knew that. I'm curious as to how you learned about the opening.
Trying to remember, I think I had been looking on the town's website, maybe because there was a opening or a job posting on the school wellness committee. Is there a school
Okay.
wellness committee?
Okay.
And I
And you
think I
saw this?
applied to that. Yeah.
You applied through the website.
I must have.
Yeah, you
It
did.
was a while ago.
I have your,
Oh, for this one, yeah.
That's what I meant for this. How did you hear about the opening of the Board of Health? That's what I was asking. I'm sorry, I wasn't clear.
No, that I understood, maybe I didn't
Okay.
answer. Well, I think I had gone on the town's website because I saw that position, or I might have seen it on the Facebook
Facebook, yeah.
page.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's
one
okay.
of
I was just
those.
curious if you knew somebody or.
Oh, no, I
in
would not.
town or whatever. Well, this is a good opportunity to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. I don't have any questions. Again, thank you very much.
I think
really
we all thank
appreciate
you. And your resume once again
Absolutely.
speaks for itself. Great.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah, and I'll be in touch after the next meeting. All right.
Awesome.
And you don't have to.
Thank you.
Just want to, just 2 little ones at home.
My husband was gonna put them to bed.
Oh, then you just.
Hey, take some time to have a coffee.
The meeting went really long, you could tell them.
Now we
Thank
know
you
the
very
truth.
much. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you.
I know we kind of little.
You're a little ahead, but we're gonna have Dylan, come tell us about.
So I was gonna,
Yeah, that was good.
yeah, let's do Dylan, yeah. All right. Dylan, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was just coming before you. I'd actually come before you guys a few months ago about the same thing. But I've been chugging along working on our livestock regulations.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to present another change to the current definition of livestock raising. So currently the way it's written is the raising or harboring of 10 or more poultry, or of 2 cattle, horses, sheep, hogs, minks, rabbits, or similar farm animals 6 months or older. And the revised suggestion that I'm presenting is very basic. The raising or harboring of poultry, cattle, horses, sheep, hogs, goats, minks, rabbits, or other domesticated animals for food or other agricultural purposes. So the reason for this is because I'm trying to get the power back into the regulation. And the regulation is kind of tied up because the numbers and the ages are defined in the bylaw. So I'm simply just trying to remove those from the bylaw. And I've already better broken down in the livestock regulation, animals based on acreage as opposed to just a flat rate of you can have this many, because we're running into issues where, folks are having legally up to 9 chickens on 10,000 square foot lots in Weathersfield, just because of the way it's written. So, it's basically just trying to clean up the regs is what the main purpose of this is.
So what we do, just be ready to,
No, we don't even need to take a vote tonight, but like I said earlier, like either the planning board, select board, a zoning board, or a resident needed to petition or sponsor this change.
Yep.
And so it'll be an article on the town meeting warrant, and it'll just
Yep.
say by the select board, if that's okay with you guys.
okay.
Yeah, I make a motion that we recommend this and we support Dylan and what he's trying to achieve there.
Sure.
I just wanted does the Board of Health support this?
Yes.
Okay. What you said.
So we have the motion.
I'll second it.
So we got second, so we got first, we have first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it, and,
Thank you very much.
Thanks for, doing
I
all
do have
that.
a question. This is, what happens if it's zoned agricultural, the areas are zoned agriculture? Like there are, example, there's some lots on Maple Street.
Yeah.
That go way, way back that are still zoned agriculture, but they're single family homes.
Mhm.
What happens in the case? I don't remember the zoning bylaw specific. What happens in that case?
In regards to what? Like
Of the
numbers of
volume, how
animals?
many? Like, let's say it's a half acre lot and it's zoned agriculture if it's, because Weathersfield is not,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So is it different based upon the zoning? I would imagine it would be.
So there are differences based on the zoning, but as far as pure numbers go, they don't really change because the numbers are strictly based on the actual size. And when it comes to situations where you're referring to, where you have long lots where they might meet an acreage, but they're funky shaped. The way we deal with those is that the regulations have pre-built in setback requirements. So for example, if you wanted to have a rooster, you not only have to be in an agriculturally zoned area, but your lot has to be designed and segmented in such a way that you can keep it, I believe it's, I think, 250 feet away from any abutting residence. So there's some pretty aggressive setbacks for, to make sure everything's met.
Yeah, because like my former neighbor, they had pigs, cattle, they had it all, and it was a home, single family home.
Yeah.
But it was on agriculture.
Yeah, so I mean, that's situations like that are what we're trying to clean up and deal with right now. Honestly, we have a lot of
They're
that.
long gone, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, is working with animal control and using those setback requirements built into the regulations. And the good thing about the regulations is that it being a Board of Health regulation, God forbid we find someone has a loophole or something like that, it's a lot more malleable than a bylaw.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
thank you.
Awesome.
Good
Thanks,
job.
Dylan.
thank you very much. Have a great night, everyone.
You too.
Night. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one on the agenda are State Representative Michael Soto, state budgetary update. If you, I know we've kind of loaded through a few minutes earlier. If you,
I'm ready.
then it's floor's all yours. Pleasure to have you. Great. And thanks for your time.
Well, we're already in budget season. The governor has proposed her budget, from a constitutional standpoint. She's the first one to, present her budget, and then, we will have our budget hearings starting, 2 weeks. They just did the, rules last week, so committees were all formed. So what will happen is those, the House Ways and Means will have I call them roadshow hearings, which will be across the state. Those hearings will focus on each point in the budget and have public hearings with all the secretaries for each area. I did prepare a few things, just kind of as a trend. Current unemployment in Bellingham right now is 3.9%, which is actually better than, a little bit better than the national average. Housing market, it tends to be strong as far as the market values. If you compare from 2018 to today, to 2023, the 2024 numbers haven't come out, averaged out yet, but the 2023 numbers are 518,000, so we're probably right around there, about 523 is the average housing market trend. So Bellingham has increased dramatically over the last 5 years. The tax base analysis, 63% of the tax base is strong as residential, obviously showing some of that sign of the housing market. Your commercial tax rate stands right around 12%, 11.87%. The industrial tax rate is around, industrial base is about 13.16. And the personal property tax is still trending right around 11.5%. Local aid, chapter 70 school funding is up about 165,000. That's based off of the governor's budget. When we have our stab at the budget, there's a growing trend. Last year we did 110 per pupil. The governor proposed 75 per pupil. There are a bunch of us coming together to say, well, 110 to 75 is a huge drop.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find something in the middle, try to get it to maybe anywhere between 95 and 100. We're hoping, but the way we're spending money, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that without tapping dramatically into the rainy day fund. But if we did get it to about $100 per pupil, we'd be looking at about another $45,000 per pupil based on your pupil amount of enrollment. Charter reimbursement is up about 53,000. Again, that's based off the formulations of the governor's proposal. School choice, you're down from receiving tuition, you're down about 100,000, and that basically is because I think there was, if I remember hearing Saturday, there's a little bit of a drop in the amount of school choice folks going out. So that's adjusting, which I know it sounds 100,000 sounds like a lot, but the good thing is less kids are leaving the district to go on other places. They're staying within the district. Unrestricted government aid is up about 45,000. Veterans benefits is pretty flat, 772 is up. Based off, all this is based off the governor's budget. The transportation infrastructure. This is where the good news is based on what has been proposed. You're up about $307,000 in the chapter 9 based on formulations, which I think is a considerably mild winter. We've had a few mild winters, so a lot of that is, a lot of the salt and stuff, snow, emergency stuff's not getting eaten up like it used to in the past. So that's a good investment for you. I know you have a lot of roads and projects that you have in the pipeline to fix. And I know Saturday that was mentioned. I think Mr. Martinez mentioned it on one particular road. So I mean, when you get that much money, it helps with some of that cost. Unfortunately, the cost of doing business is up dramatically. But with that said, it's good news on that front. And again, when we'll have some earmarks and things in there, we'll see what happens with it. But we try to keep chapter 90 pretty clean. So your 5-year total on chapter 90 has been about 4,236,000. So you've been trending, Bellingham's been trending very well as far as the last 5 years with chapter 90 receipts. Just basically, the great news is, I mean, if you look from 2018, your total taxable receipts with all your levies of residential, net exempts, open space, commercial, industrial, personal property taxes. In 2018, you were looking at about 38,542,000. Right now, Bellingham is roughly around, since 2020, last year, 2024, about 53,819,000. So your growth is definitely showing, and it's there. And a lot of it, again, a lot of it's residential based tax, and which is a strong real estate market. It's been pretty strong. Wish we could build more houses. We need to build more houses. Hopefully costs will go down so that we can set those with the high interest rates so that we get more people in housing. And housing is a major factor. One of the things that we're going to be focused on, in the coming weeks. I mean, the governor, the great news is the AG approved your MBTA communities agreement, which is wonderful. I commend everybody who worked on that committee, put that together, hired the consultant. You guys did it the right way. A lot of the communities, I get why they want to fight it. Some of them don't want that many apartments and things like that because they don't have it currently. I mean, you guys have Bellingham's gradually worked into the apartment base. So it was a little bit easier, I think, to take what you have, expand it, and you have the consultant, and which is going to be good because there's a lot of money sitting on the table. We have $1.5 million sitting in the last economic development bill passed last session for Hartford Ave, which is in addition to the 3 million that we already secured. So, which is going to be the cleanup between, Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, it's from the Home Depot exit to the back. Dunkin' Donuts.
Beyond that, right.
And then we also have had the first meeting of the MAPC, which is going to take care of the rest of the project which is going to be a considerable project. I think that includes the bridge reconstruction, things like that. So it desperately needs it. Bellingham may have grown, but everything around it has grown double digits. Medway, Milford, Southern Milford, Northern Franklin, you've got Mendon, Hopedale, Blackstone. They've grown tremendously, and everybody has to go through that exit, go through Bellingham to get to where they need to. So the bridge definitely needs to be done. We've had the first meeting with the MAPC. We've had great meetings, and I think that's on track to be a successful project. Of course, federal funding and everything else, depending on where that goes and how the administration and DC handles how those funds are going to be moving forward. I know a lot of it's federally tied. As far as I was down in DC last week, had a brief meeting with Congressman Auchincloss because we just wanted to make sure that the PFAS money that was secured is secured and it's coming. And he said it should have already been under the last appropriation, so it should not be under any disruption of what's going on now in DC with money being held up, reviewed, or anything like that. Grants. So I will say if we are waiting for different grants from Mass DEP, those are being scrutinized and reviewed by the governor on a case-by-case basis because of the federal review that the Trump administration wants to review everything going out the door. However, the EPA and their administrations change, the whole PFAS thing could just change all over again. So it could slow things down just in general. But the Congressman Auchincloss said he will keep an eye on it and continue to communicate with us through our office so that we can communicate directly with you. As far as committees, I have been appointed to, I'm the ranking minority leader in economic development and emerging markets. I'm very excited about that because it brings home a lot of economic development money to different districts. We've received this town in the last 5 years, 6 years actually, has received significant amounts of economic development money to do a lot of major projects. And it's upwards of, if you count the 126 corridor that was just repaired, or upwards of over almost $15 million in the last 5 years of construction money, and that's counting the $1.5 million that is secured in this last one. So the great thing about this committee is that every year there's a bill. So every year there's an economic development package bill. So we'll be looking at that. As far as earmarks, we'll be sitting with Dennis. We have to get earmarks in. Earmarks are, especially right now, I will say we'll put them in. We'll probably get them approved. But my guess is the way the budget's going and how the emergency funding, and she keeps asking for emergency funding for housing shelter problem. My guess is we're going to see some more 9C cuts, which those earmarks could be in. It's great, we can celebrate, and then in September we can get them cut. So so it's a little bit of a challenge, but I know that Dennis will give me a list. I know the school department's give me a list. All the towns in the district, we kind of try to get as much as we can, and every little bit we can. So I say, look at those projects that you might not want to do right away, but if they're 50,000, 60,000, 75,000, let's put them in the, for earmarks and see what we get, whatever we get for you. That would just be a plus. If you're gonna be doing the project, the money comes back to you. And, the money will go back to free cash or wherever it needs to go. So, with that, I'm open to any questions or anything from that standpoint.
Anybody have any questions? No, thank you. I appreciate it for the information.
I think
you
you gave us a
provided
really
yeah.
good detail.
I know we
Yeah.
mentioned it on Saturday, but the Harvard Avenue project's going out to bid, next month, and
Yeah.
$3.5 million of that, 2 grants, Mike worked
Yeah,
hard on,
which is wonderful.
secured that funding, and 3 MassWorks grants in the last 6 years, so we've done very well with the MassWorks
have done.
program, and next up is the TIP project, which will run from the cemetery in North Bellingham all the way to the Midway Town Line,
Right.
$13 million project. And that's moving along, so I
That's
really appreciate the support, and it doesn't happen without advocacy.
I will mention, just because I did briefly mention to Dennis Saturday, my office is open. I know that. I'm mentioning this because I have multiple projects going on in the district with battery storage. Our office is welcome. Anybody could call us. We can certainly have discussions with any citizen about how the commission works and how this works. I've been where you sit, so I understand the sometimes the understanding of it and where it's at. It's new technology. But one thing I will say to the committee, and some just kind of tidbits of information to have, just so that we have the right kind of things out there. There's a difference between battery storage production and battery storage manufacturing. Battery storage manufacturing is done in a facility, warehouse facility, and that's where you tend to see a lot of explosions, fires, and things. Those are not the things that are being proposed here. These are being proposed are conclaves, they're individual units. But the one thing you have to remember about Massachusetts, that 32% of our electricity production is through renewable energy. And in order to sustain that, new technology and battery storage is a piece of that component. And I know people are nervous about it. I can understand the sensitivity around it. The one thing I'll say was we'll answer any questions. We had a great, we had a neighborhood in Uxbridge that residential, and I don't know how I feel about all these being in residential areas. I think I like to see more industrial areas. But in a year from now, the commission's gonna be making all these decisions. So the earlier the towns are involved in these projects, mitigate them. I think I always say, mitigate everything you can to get what you can, so that you're not in a situation where the commission just approves something and you have no mitigation, no barriers, no safeguards, no nothing. You have a fire chief that is very well prepared in information that he's proposed in Uxbridge, and they've all regionalized their communications with one another. So everybody's regionalized on this project, on these types of projects. I'm very impressed with how much the chiefs have dived into this technology and how it works. But our office is always open for discussions. Like I said, we had a town hall type style meeting where we kind of went through some bullet points of things where neighbors got to ask questions, and I think they felt better about it after we talked about it. They're still concerned, and I have concerns, I mean, it's one of those things where you get a little bit nervous when it tends to be in a residential area, or near a residential area. But these things are new technology, and a lot of people are putting them in their houses right now. Your neighbors could have them and you don't even know it. And so if they have solar, chances are they're probably looking at battery. I know I'm looking at battery. I mean, I have solar in my house, and my electric bill, it was this last 3 months, just like everybody else's. I mean, my last 3 months were $2,100 if you take the last 3 months. It's a lot. I spent more on electricity than I ever did on oil for heating, because I'm on heat pump systems. So thought I was doing a good thing for the environment instead of spending more money. But the end game is that batteries tend to help you save more energy and receive some more of that energy. So, but you have to remember, we don't have nuclear. Nuclear is one of the cleanest energies that we can get. We're purchasing that from Connecticut. So 32% of our energy resources come from renewables. So we have to figure out a way to make that work for all of us so that the long-term effect is cost go down. So, but we're open for any of those conversations, discussions. Our office is available, readily available. We have a ton of information. So we'll be happy to answer those things. And I, you know, but, you know, I get nervous when these things start to move to a state regulator versus locally being run. So when that happens, you guys kind of lose control. So you're the first ones in, you got the first ones proposed. I would take advantage of mitigating those, all of you, the best you can, for the town. So the best you can. And I know it's not an easy thing because it's all new.
I'm wondering if it would be better to have, maybe to do more smaller individual, you know, like meetings with neighborhoods. You know, the one we had at the high school was just, it was just really difficult to do because everybody was not on board. They were angry.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if having you come out and your office come out and do smaller.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
Like the individual
right.
schools or something like that,
Right.
smaller ones.
I'll tell you, the Uxbridge one we did was the Blackstone Street. They have Blackstone Street in Uxbridge too. Blackstone Street neighborhood. That's where that one was proposed. So it was just that. The other ones that are being built. No one came, no one cares. But this particular one where it was close because it wasn't even showing it proposal yet where it was. You know, and interesting enough, it's gonna be like 600 feet away. It's like 2 football fields away from the nearest property line.
On the northern side of Blackstone Street or the
Yeah, it's
southern side
up-
of the town?
It's up on the, so it would be heading toward, well, Blackstone Street heading
Mendon?
towards Mendon. It's up that way, right in the middle, but it's so deep in the property.
There's a lot of woods there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they're not really doing much tree cutting. There's already some solar there. And generally speaking, I mean, that's what this is. Extension of solar is what it is. So,
I think the most confusion is, I'm glad you said what you said. The confusion is, I think that people get confused, the battery manufacturing part
Mhm.
being held in the warehouses versus the battery storage. What's been proposed, self-contained units, they are very safe. What is it, 20, I think, what is it, 20 foot,
20-foot
20 foot containers, and then, you know, they all basically, whatever happens, just stays right in there, and then it doesn't.
the rule of thumb is let them burn.
Yeah.
Don't put any water on. Keep everything else around it cool.
Yeah,
But don't, it burns out. And when it burns out, there's nothing left to it. The lithium burns.
and if I recall, actually, they have their own fire suppression system in
They do,
those
yes.
units anyway, you know, it's so basically just, you know,
And if there's
It's not
one,
battery storage,
yeah,
it's energy storage.
energy storage, there you go.
That are in like a power cell or a battery cell.
Mhm.
So they think that it's generating, it's not generating,
No,
it's
it's not just.
Medway's generating, the overuse in Medway, whatever when they have more supply than demand, that then will go into those units individually and it's highly monitored.
and you know, look at, I heard it, seen it about trucks and this and that. I mean, you're looking at something upwards of $4 million in revenue, no trucks. Back and forth, maybe 2 or 3 people there with pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Nothing really kind of,
Like nobody's
that
gonna
kind of
be able to,
revenue. Not a kid in school.
Yeah.
Not a plow, not a dumpster, not a police officer, and your fire mitigation, whatever the fire department's asking to mitigate these. Probably maybe a bigger headache for Tim, because he's gonna make sure that they stay on top of it and the regulations, but other than that, the DEP's all over this, and I have to say, the one thing I'm disappointed in, and for an administration that's so green, why they're not educating people more from a DEP standpoint with commercials and infomercials and webinars and things like that to really, some of the stuff that's coming out, I mean, I see it posted, it just blows my mind because it's very, very, I would be scared too, and I get it, but
Well, it's fear of the unknown.
yeah.
I think if we get to a point where we're getting closer to the town, public meetings are great, but they can go crazy. We've been, I think it'd be important to have a few individuals take a road trip. Someone maybe from this committee, Tim, others, can go there, see them in action, see what these are like, take pictures. And then when we have a public session, then we can actually, because we've seen it firsthand, we've talked to some of the residents in town, maybe it's a town, we can talk to the select board, talk to a town administrator, talk to DPW, talk to fire chief, et cetera, and get a really good sense. Spend a day there, take a field trip and take a day there, spend some time, get to know it firsthand. Because I don't want to pass on information that's just volatile. And I don't like to use that word, but it is, you see it without seeing it firsthand. And I'd be the first one to get on a plane and fly somewhere. if we had to
You're not
do
gonna
it.
have to. I think there's one in, if I'm not mistaken, there's gonna be one in, Wellesley. That's gonna be coming. on.
Wellesley?
Yeah, I think Wellesley coming on.
Battery storage?
Battery storage, yeah.
Being charged by what? Panels or?
I believe the same way that these are being by panels and going to the grid. So I think it's,
Blackstone has two currently that, they're.
yeah, those
solar
are, yeah,
panels,
they're,
And they're battery storage units, and there's quite a few of them. I haven't heard. anything
yes,
negative.
no, I mean, and they were all, and I know this, the town manager over there will take you on a tour or whatever you wanna do
Right.
there, but this new technology is supposed to be in, I think it's Wellesley, I think they said.
Well, just Hector, to me, it'd be like, I want someone from the Hector organization to set us up with a field trip and go there and see it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing that the public needs to be aware of is that if the planning board makes no decision after 12 months, they can appeal it to the commission and the commission just approves it.
Just gonna shove it down our throats.
So,
Then we
Or-
can mitigate.
We tried to make that point to them at our meeting and they were not listening. And that's,
Medway already broke ground on it.
Well, they didn't, but they were
forced too.
Yeah.
again, I don't think I think
They created a zone.
DPU
Medway
went
created
in,
an energy
right?
zone, didn't
yeah, they
Dennis?
created an energy zone for this particular.
They did go to
Yeah.
DPU.
They went to the DPU.
They went to the DPU to get it done.
It's a big project. I mean, that
Started
highway one is a
already.
big project.
So, I think it's a great idea, but I'd like to sort of actually mention that maybe, just we can have small meetings.
Absolutely.
especially for the area. that
Yeah, the
neighborhood
area, I think that will be a huge.
'Cause that involves
Yeah,
Stone Street and that end of Hartford Avenue
Yeah.
and Farm Street. And those were the people that were there that night. They were the ones who
Yeah.
were very, very nervous about this.
if we can set something, it's maybe what we can talk
It's just
about.
that we don't have right now,
Yeah.
the
Whenever the time
applicants
comes,
haven't been
yeah.
in touch since
Mm.
that meeting,
Okay.
so there's nothing going to town meeting in May.
Okay,
No,
So until, and
Well,
my
when it
sense
comes-
is, that my sense is something is going to be
okay,
coming forward in the next couple of weeks.
okay,
The host community agreement will be coming back to
Okay.
the board, so we'll see some information on that. But nothing is going on this town meeting, so
Yeah.
that's why we had said we were going to have public session this spring in anticipation of the town meeting, but it's not going to town meeting, so until we get something more definitive
Maybe
from them
towards the
about
fall.
the project, well, yeah,
Yeah.
once they're back to getting ready to submit to either the planning board or DPU,
Mm.
I think at that point in time, certainly we want to have
Yeah.
some dialogue.
Just a couple more bills that I think will be asset for Bellingham that I filed. One is I filed no income tax on social security benefits. And
Yeah.
also filed. And just as a public service announcement, a lot of people have called our office today. They received their back due.
I haven't yet.
So, if you are a public employee, that paid into social security, or you have a death benefits with spouses, it's getting retroactive pay, you'll be able, your 2/3 or is it 2/3 of
Yeah,
your
it was 2/3,
Thirds.
yeah. So we're retroactive to 1/1 of 24.
Yeah, so a lot of seniors, my father-in-law made me aware of it today. He didn't know what hit his bank account. He thought he hit the lottery, kind of did, but, but, I think it's well deserved in a time when things are hitting seniors and people really hard. So that's coming, which I'm grateful that nothing got messed up on that with the administration, what the administration's doing and some of the stuff they're reviewing. So that's good. And we also filed because the service industry took such a killing with help and everything else, no tax on tip earners. So if you're working in a restaurant and you wouldn't pay income tax on that. We also filed two pieces of legislation on cannabis. One is to do away with community host agreements, and the reason we did that is because we know a lot of cities and municipalities are in this fight because of you have to show do harm or reasons for the money. So one of the things that kind of last session, we've got a lot of work to do, and I'm on that committee also this year. We have a lot of work to do to fix the CCC. It's an absolute disaster. And one of the bills that I filed is if you had a retail facility and you had a community host agreement, those community host agreements sunset after 5 years, and then you have to renegotiate them. So eventually they go away. What I propose is that it would be a 1% ongoing tax that would go onto the local tax. I think I briefly mentioned this to you, Dennis, where it would be infinity, it would be there. And it would show on the receipt that the customer buys. So it doesn't cost the retailer anything, doesn't cost the town, and that 1% is added on to your local tax. So I think right now you're getting 3%, you would get 4%, an additional 1%, which would be from a long-term, a longevity standpoint, would be great. And then you don't have to worry about legal and mitigation and lawsuits from retailers and stuff. And I think the retailers like it because it keeps them kind of whole and full process. Where it's tricky for Bellingham, and the reason I filed the second version of that was if you have grow, you have a community host agreement. What would be added is a 1% VAT tax, a value added tax, not on every piece of it, but the finished product. So whatever the finished product that's manufactured here in Bellingham, it would go to the retailer at that 1%, and they can charge that to the receipt also. So Bellingham wouldn't lose. If this passes, Bellingham would get that 1% ongoing all the time.
Is it 1% on the wholesale or 1% on the retail?
It would be on the 1% on, so that tax is 1% on the cost of goods to the retailer.
Yeah.
So,
it's those.
yeah, but the thing of it is, you have to remember, your community host agreements are gonna fade away anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just point of clarification,
Yeah.
because there's really no way to, how do you tax the retailer, get on there and then have the money funneled back to the town that's a grow, it's difficult. So if you do it on the wholesale.
Yeah, because everything is tracked. So everything is
Yeah.
tracked from the retailer to the, from the wholesaler to the retailer or the manufacturer to the retailer. So you would see that, you'd get that, and that's how the DOR would do it. So it would be a long term. The good thing is, the positive thing is the chairman, I've been on now this committee with him two terms, and he's been fantastic. And like I said, we have a lot to do with the CCC. It's an absolute. I guess I can use the terminology. Sometimes you do need, Doge needs to go to the CCC. That's all I can tell you, because that's
a lot of
what it needs. Well, they asked before that we had 19 billion in the budget. They wanted something like 34 billion. So it was crazy, ridiculous amounts of money, but they have the town manager from Holliston. That was the town manager of Holliston, is now this CCC director. They just need to start they need to start acting like a board of selectmen. And well, but they don't realize that's how they're set up, right? They're set up kind of the same way. Town manager, CCC director, committee commissioners, executives, assistants taking, managing through finance directors. It's all set up like a one big town government is what it is. And they don't understand it, but we're gonna fix that. We have to fix it. It's one of the biggest revenue drivers that we have. So, so we have a lot going on, and and I will just say, the struggles are gonna get harder with the amount of money. We're already up to $3 billion in emergency money that she's asked for. Housing isn't gonna get better. There's no place for these folks to go. It's tough. They're staying there. They're not gonna go anywhere. She thinks that they're gonna leave the shelter, but if they leave the shelter, the only place they're gonna go is the street, because there is no house to get them into. So this is a problem that is not gonna end without a lot more money. And it drives me crazy, happened to be going into Boston today, and you see a veteran in a wheelchair, and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell are we doing wrong?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So it's good. And we're working on all these projects. I know there's some talk about senior housing on Center Street. I know Mr. Labrasor has been talking to the Veterans Committee about housing right over here on Depot Street for veterans. I think there's a lot of good thing when you have that kind of discussion. I know many of you have talked about it. I know, Mike, you talked about veterans housing. I know, Don, you've talked about veterans and senior housing. So I think you guys are getting the ball rolling. It's just a matter of you got some really good people that want to do some good things, so I think it's a great thing, and we'll be here, what we need to do, housing is the hottest thing right now, and if we got projects, there's infrastructure money, those are the things that we need to go after, and we'll continue to go after those, so. Sorry, I went a little bit longer than I probably. could.
No,
Appreciate
fine.
it.
It's
Maybe
interesting.
Since COVID, we haven't really done a lot of this and
Yeah,
this is
no.
now we're here, so we're doing that. So again, I'm available for any questions. I will have a new office number. I just moved. I feel like I got dust in my eyes and stuff because I'll tell you, the State House is not a very clean place. So you do the cleaning yourself if you want to get it done. But I will have a new phone number and a new office number, but the district number is up there and posted. So the district number is probably the best way to get in touch with me right now. And of course, John Keeler, my assistant, lives in Bellingham, is here, so, so he's available, anytime to get right back to everybody, so. Any other questions?
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, have a great night, guys.
Appreciate it for your time.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you. Okay, that was a very useful information, it's and I think it was a great highlights. And so the next thing in the agenda, citizens abatement request, 60 Prospect Street.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Mr.
I'll
Lopez.
make a motion. The quarterly water bill for 60 Prospect Street received the full amount requested for abatement in the amount of $65.42 for the adjusted total amount of $29.75.
You have first, we have second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. DPW abatement request for April, May, June, July, August, September. And I think these are all in one motion. And
Yep. We can just do these as presented. These are the, I
Okay.
don't know, if Jesse, do you want me to talk on this or?
or just we can do all in one as presented.
Yeah, so if you'd like, Hillary, these are the ones that they're the standard abatements for
Okay.
Lifeline discount.
Yeah.
There's some standard abatements that we would typically go through. DPW was a little bit behind previously. We're now up to speed with the submitted here. So these will be expected a bit more frequently, but essentially we're looking for the authorization to sign off and abate these as we have in our billing rates.
So I'd like to make a motion,
We'll make, Mr. Chairman, we'll
Yes,
make a motion to abate as, I'm looking for the final paper here.
You can do April, May, June, July, August, September abatements as presented. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
As presented, yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the abatements as presented.
I'll second.
so we have first, we have second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
And then next one is a New England Country Club vote on seasonal licenses renewal for restaurant or alcohol common victualler weekday Sunday entertainment license.
So moved.
So we have first, we have second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. That's fantastic.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for January 27th and February 10th.
Second, we got second, perfect. We have first, we have second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Thank you. We move it along. And the next one is old business.
We
Anybody?
have permit renewals. Right?
Am I?
Permit renewals for the year beginning.
Oh, that was attached to the.
Oh, that was the text. I was,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's
sorry.
okay.
I was going ahead and doing
No,
all
that's
over
all right.
again.
I know I've done it.
And I'm like.
I know
oh.
I've done it in the past, you know. I'm like, "Ooh, did I get so excited? Does anybody have anything on old business? I do have something in it, the old business.
Go ahead.
Just to keep everybody kind of updated, as we know, it's, we try to town administrator search once, we tried a second time, and, since then, it's, I have been having quite a bit of, discussion with, Dennis, kind of brainstorming how we can approach to next time around, and I think, that we might have some kind of idea how we're gonna approach. And Dennis, would you like to?
Sure. I think we tried the model with the consultant paradigm and also the citizen committee. What a lot of communities have utilized in the past is a hybrid, if you will. The Collins Center is one of the firms that specializes in public management. They do all kinds of recruitment, and they also do classification studies. They do a lot of things. They're out of UMass Boston. They're affiliated with the Suffolk program as well, the management program. And what they use is the hybrid model where they utilize the citizen committee and the consultant actually does the recruitment. So it's a combination of the two. And they've done some good work. I know Sahan had watched some of the meetings in Drake and they were the consulting firm for Drake right around the same time we were going through the process. So I did speak with Mary Icardi, no relation to Tim, who's with the Collins Center. She handles the recruitments. And I asked her if she'd be able to join us tonight. I was pushing it. She was unable to join us tonight, but she can join us on the 17th, either in person or via Zoom, and go over the process, how they handle it. I think they're a well-established firm. A lot of communities use them, and in the conversation I had with her, I had a lengthy conversation with her, is they take a lot of pride in their success. So they have their formula, they have their approach, they will present that to the board. And it's somewhat of a, this is how we do it, and if that works for you, Bellingham, and you feel good about it, select board, we're happy to take the project on. But if you don't, there's not necessarily a lot of tweaking to their proposal. They like the hybrid model, which is the screening committee combined with their recruitment process, and then presenting the candidates. The screening committee would present the finalists, much like what we had, but they're much more involved. So I think it'd be a good idea to have her come in next the 17th and go over that process. I think I love doing what I'm doing. I really do enjoy it, and it's not a burden at all. I have a lot of fun doing it. I look forward to it, but the town needs to get a full-time administrator. I know that, and for the best of the community, certainly. And I think moving it along again is the right thing to do at this point in time. We've got the budget settled, we get contracts for the most part settled. So we'd be going to town meeting, and much of the work that we're doing for town meeting is now. So, there's good continuity, and it'll be a nice fresh start for someone. So, obviously, there's no action to take from the board right now.
Let it come, and then
But what we'd like to do is just have Mary come in and explain their work, and if the board likes it, then we can look to engage with them in a contract.
So just basically, we want to keep.
Just to listen to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen to her, listen to what they want to bring. Obviously, what we went through with the first and second, so we learned from both of them. And then maybe with different angle with their approach, and it's, we'll get where we need to get.
Yeah, Caroline's also familiar with
Yep.
them, as is Heidi.
Mhm.
Heidi's worked with them as well, so we have some, they've worked with a lot of communities. There are 3 or 4 firms that really do a lot of this. Paradigm does managers and other positions. Collins does kind of everything. The Collins Center does everything. The MMA Consulting Group, they're not affiliated with Mass Municipal Association. They're just called the MMA Consulting Group. They're another one that does it. So there are a handful of groups out there, but Collins is definitely one of the better ones. If not, a lot of people feel they are the best. So, but we'll have her come in and
I personally, I personally looking forward to listen to them.
Good.
And we'll leave it with that, and then, we'll be ready for the 17th.
absolutely.
If that's being said, we'll move to the new business. If anybody would like to add anything on the new business, I would like to kind of jump on it right away.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first one is, I was gonna actually kind of, mention that and then ask your opinion on this matter to a social media discussion. And I believe as a select board, we do have responsibilities, as well as any boards and committees. Town. It's and I think, I know most of the time the town looks at us and then, and we lead them where they need to go. But on the other hand, I would like to, remind everybody, I know the social media is, it's a freedom of speech. You can say whatever you like to say. But if you're part of any boards and committees, and, I think I will recommend, or I would like to hear your opinion, if you like to mention something regarding to the town, please find out the right answer or right information, and then or just direct them to the town hall, various departments. And I'm just gonna leave it out there, and I think just we need to be really cautious. And I always remember, sort of Ashnova said, but we wanna look good as a town. And we
Right.
wanna be example, so we don't wanna see anybody's kind of bashing the town for no reason without a correct information. And I'm not just pointing out fingers, I'm not just saying anything to anybody, but obviously we see what we see, I think just all I'm asking is, as a board, so we don't need to take any kind of action, but I'm just asking your opinion. I think, that we need to remind everyone, if you're part of the town, if you're on the boards or committees, and even in the town hall, just please be cautious, how you handle yourself on the social media.
And
And-
it's very easy, I think, on social media,
Absolutely.
when you read something or something
Yep.
somebody's writing, and
Yep.
you're like, well, no, that's not really right. You have a tendency, you wanna just go on there and say, no, this
Yeah.
is not, this is where you should go, or this is what you should do.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to do,
Yep.
and listen, guilty. I'm not gonna say I haven't done it, I have, and, I did one thing, and I'm gonna be very honest. I listened to all this thing and read something on social media, and I was like appalled at what I was reading. And I was like, well, my God, did you call the police? Did you, well, then come to find out, it was a bogus. It was bogus, the whole thing was bogus, and I didn't know it was bogus. And it was hurtful to the people it was doing, and that's very scary, and for myself, I'm not a technology, and I don't get along as well as we probably should. But I would not have known it was bogus, it seemed very real to me, but I think we all on any of our committees, and that was a valuable lesson for me. To watch and be very cautious of what I'm reading and to check it out before I do anything about it.
And I usually, I'm just gonna, because you just mentioned that, I love, when you usually get on the social media, I don't like to make any comments, but I kind of try to watch and listen.
Mhm.
And I love it when you mention that if you have any question, please reach out to this so-and-so department.
I try to always say,
And
listen.
I think that's the best way to do it.
We
And,
did, I think there was somebody on
Yeah.
yesterday and they were making a comment. They were making a comment about a water break. They thought it was a water break, and so one person jumped out and said, well, really, Facebook isn't gonna fix your water break. Why don't you call the DPW? And I got laughing and I thought, well, yeah, that's true, but they all go on, well, I didn't get this, and this, and we're like, well, did you call DPW or did you call the police? So yeah, that happens a lot, but yeah, I think you're right. You are 100% right. We do have a responsibility, and I think for me, I learned a valuable lesson once, and I'm trying to be very, very cautious now on what I read and listen to.
And if anybody would like to add anything, as I said, I'm just opening up the discussion. And it obviously we're leading the way, and obviously, that we want to help and to whole town as well as our constituents, make sure right information goes where you need to go. And
Draft something up from your signature, and that just basically letting all the boards and committees that we appoint, reminding them of exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you see something out there that doesn't sound right, get it to the departments that manage it.
And we have the Facebook page too now. Obviously, if anybody would
Refer to
have
the
a question,
Yeah.
we can direct them to that, the Facebook page, or just we can direct them to the town hall as a whole.
Mhm.
And if anybody would like to add anything, just please, as I said, I'm only just one voice. I would love to hear everybody else's opinion, and it's as always. And that's why I felt like we need to mention, and I'm all ears. If anybody would like to add anything, please do so. If you have any ideas, or we can take the Dennis's lead, we can write something up and then remind everyone,
We can't
I
tell
think we are-
people what they can and can't say.
absolutely, but
but
make sure we wanna,
we can ask them
we
to
wanna
at
look
least-
like we
yeah.
united, and then, we're on the same page when it comes to the.
Yeah.
giving out the right information. That's what I'm saying, you know.
I think if you're an employee of this town, and there's some negative information out there,
Mhm.
you shouldn't add to it. You shouldn't put
Mhm.
fuel to the fire.
Or a board member,
Or a
right?
board
Or a
member,
board member,
right?
absolutely.
I think you have a responsibility. Yes, freedom of speech, you can write whatever
Yeah.
you want, but you do have somewhat of a responsibility or a moral obligation. That's all, that's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, to me, if you don't have something good to say, don't
Mhm.
say it.
Especially if you don't know the facts.
If you don't, yeah, to me,
Yeah.
it's
Thank you.
always, I tell my kids all that, don't even anybody. Listen, do your fact finding, find out before you start responding.
Do it every
or
day,
anything.
every day.
My daughter came to me today with something she got like from school on her phone. I read it, I said, this is junk. Don't respond, delete. You know, you can sense phishing and, you know, even from the town, I don't know what type of training, maybe with.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, but I mean,
Phishing, yeah.
on phishing and spam, a whole bit, you know, I think it'd be good for us to go through it. I mean, I go through it. I have to be certified like every quarter. We have all these different programs. I'm sure we all do with our, you know,
Yep.
with our employment. Especially nowadays, maybe board members. I haven't received anything as a board member to go through any type, even though I've been through with my own employer.
Sure.
Many times, but maybe even as new board members come on, whatever, any type, like a new Board of Health member, or, you know, maybe they go through, there's a type of orientation and there's some anti-spam stuff and phishing stuff, things to look out for.
Maybe that would be a good task for Caroline, maybe as a new HR.
Just something, yeah,
And
I'm
if
sure
you're-
they're
if
out
you're-
there.
If you all agree, if you have anything to add, and I kind of like the idea, from Dennis, they just mentioned that, and I think Mr. Martinez, Mr. Sebastian, said the same thing too. We can send something out to whole boards and committees.
It's a good reminder.
Just
It's a
run it by
reminder, you know?
legal to make sure the language, you don't want someone going, hey, this is my First Amendment, right? You can't do that. And you don't, I mean, there's gonna be someone out there that's going to not
No,
take it in the
absolutely.
spirit that it was meant.
Yeah.
They just want to be argumentative as a general rule, that's who they are.
Yeah.
So boom, they're gonna throw it back at you.
And,
I think that's a good way to handle that. I really do. Let us find out through legal.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
something
grab it.
up and
Okay.
I'm sure they have social
Put
media
it out to
policies
everybody.
out there.
do,
I know we have one in my company.
Dennis, do we need to like any kind of make a motion or anything just for you?
No, I can draft, I think everybody.
Yeah, yeah. We're all in
Yeah,
agreement
we'll
on
draft
it.
Okay,
something up.
that's perfect. I really appreciate it for everyone's time, and then, as I said, I wanna show, obviously, we're doing our due diligence when it comes to the stuff like that. We're on the same page. And I appreciate it for that. And thanks for your support. And, so the next one is, I know we talked about in the past, it's, obviously, we did quite a bit of work in the open space, committee. But I think there is a whole section, Community Preservation Act. I would like to open that discussion. It's obviously Dennis, last year when we were looking into it, he collected quite a bit of information as well as, with Hannah from Conservation Commission. And I think maybe it is time, that we need to gather all updated information. I think there are some things we need to find out for sure, because if we wanna pursue to adopt this, and do we wanna, maybe, create a subcommittee for it and, push through? Also, if we adapt this and, all the funds we're gonna be collecting, if the state is gonna match it, because from my understanding, all budgetary, they used to match it 100%. I don't think they match it anymore. So if we can get that right
They don't.
information.
Fraction of it, yeah.
So it's, that's obviously is the great, I think everybody's thinking it's, they will match it 100%. If it is, yeah, it will be something, we might want to pursue, but if they're not gonna match it, and I don't think if it's worth it, it's, I'll just basically, we'll gather all the information. If it's not too much to ask Dennis,
No, we can definitely do
and then
that.
after that, it's, if we want to pursue, if we agree as a board to create a committee or subcommittee.
It is a two-step process.
Yes.
It's town meeting and the ballot box, so
Mhm.
people essentially be going to vote to.
you're talking about raising taxes again.
It's pretty much, that's what it comes down to,
So
yeah. Yeah.
I'm very hesitant. I've always been very, very hesitant about community preservation.
And,
I've never been,
Is it raising taxes or is it
taking a percentage of the existing.
No, it's additional.
Additional,
An additional.
so I think that's what the,
Up
Yeah.
to 3%.
And we've just upped everybody's, we did an override and everybody just had their taxes go up and commercial, and believe me, I've heard about it
Yeah.
loud and clear.
so the open space meeting, and then few people came in, and then they were really into it, and, as I promised that night, and I said, I will gather all the information, but I said, I don't think it's right to ask the town again, because we were basically in the process, the proof of the paramedics, and I told them it's really fair to the whole town, we just asked for 2.5 proposition, for the paramedics. And I think we need to gather a little bit more information and then, kind of revisit it in spring. Now is the springtime, as I promised, and then, I'm just mentioning it out to the whole board.
We can get the information and then
Thank you.
I'll bring it to the board, so at least we know what we're talking
Okay,
about.
I
that would be
appreciate
good.
How
Thank
much we would have gotten, we get that letter every year
Yeah.
from the registrar's office telling us
Right.
what we
Yeah.
would have received had we adopted the
Yeah.
CPA, so we
And
can
we're-
get that information.
What I know, anecdotally, we're only one town there are very few towns that haven't adopted. the
About
CPA.
200 that have.
Yeah,
Out of
out
three-
of
365,
something, so
yeah.
2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
and locally, well, have towns around here, Medway has, and
Yeah,
Franklin. right?
Midway and Franklin have.
I don't know about Millis or
Yeah.
Milford.
Yeah.
and, so as I said, as a part of the open space,
I know there's a lot of people for it. I mean, there were
Yeah.
people here that were
Oh, yeah.
at that meeting, I was
Yeah.
here. There were a lot of people for it, and I've had a few phone calls asking me, just one, actually, just not too long ago. I got a phone call asking me, hey, what happened? There was a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Coming up here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
as-
get
as
the
a-
information.
yeah, I
first
think-
as
before-
I promised,
I'm-
we're
I'm
gonna
very leery of
gather all
it.
the information in the spring, and then, if it's gonna be worth it to follow it in the spring meeting, and
It'll
then.
be the fall
Yeah.
meeting, yeah.
The fall
Yeah.
meeting,
Yeah.
and, I'm just doing my due diligence, and,
Absolutely.
I'm just letting everyone know, as well as, all the rest of the board.
Yeah, we
And I
Okay,
appreciate it.
thank you.
we can get
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Dennis, town administrator report?
Just a few items. Ed Pelletier from the Housing Authority, Rob Luce here, and I
Mhm.
did have a Zoom call with the Executive Office of Livable Communities. We're very competitive, as Mike was saying, for all the housing grants out there, because we've got our MBTA communities Act approved. We're also a housing choice community, which only, I think, 100 out of 365 communities are designated housing choice communities. And it's based on the amount of housing you've created in the last, I think, 5 years, and obviously we've created quite a bit. So it gives us a lot of bonus points when we go for these grants. But good conversation. Rob's gonna join us on the 17th to talk about the actual grant that we're going to be pursuing. The first step is a planning grant. We'll get somebody in to actually look at these properties, evaluate them, do their due diligence to find out what the yield would be as far as housing goes, any infrastructure issues, et cetera, and then assist with pursuing funds, both for veterans and senior housing. Keep in mind, when we talk about senior housing, the number one priority on the list is the homeless, regardless of where you live. Number two is veterans, so veteran status. So senior housing offers a very good benefit for veterans as it is. So it's kind of when you create senior housing, it has a residual effect of helping veterans as well. So in any event, we'll get that information and we'll have something at our next meeting. It'll be on the
Can we
agenda.
ask, when they come to look at the property, are we gonna have them look at that Maple Street property too?
I think
Because you get-
if
yeah.
we take ownership of it,
Okay, yeah.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah. so
because that's a good piece of
It
property.
is a good piece, you're right.
That's a great place for,
Yeah.
for.
The parcel that we're taking
Yeah,
as
yeah.
part of the, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be on the 17th, so Rob will be coming in on that. You've all got the notice on the Maple Street reconstruction project, reconstructing that bridge over Maple Street. Initially, they were talking about actually shutting down
Yeah.
Maple Street. Now it's one lane. The
Okay.
chiefs got very involved. I know Mr. Morano got involved as well, so.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be some inconvenience and they're getting ready. They had one public hearing must have been 6 or 8 months ago, Don. You were at that one, I think. This one is coming up on March 20th, right here at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's been a fair amount of publicizing of it, but obviously everybody doesn't get the word, but it'd be good. Those board members that can make it great, but I know Peter Morano's gonna be there, the chiefs will be there, I'll be there. The 20th, yeah, right here.
March.
Yeah, at 7
Wednesday.
o'clock.
Is that Wednesday? Wednesday or
It's
Thursday?
Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday, you're right, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a project that's
Yeah.
gonna create some disturbance.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt.
That Hecate, we talked about a little while ago, we had talked about having meetings in the winter and spring in anticipation of an article moving forward in May. I mean, they're not ready. So there is no article coming forward in May, and people have asked, and Rob's been getting calls about it. We finally did make contact with the Department of Public Utilities, and we'll be giving an update on that as well as the host community agreement discussions that we've had. So that'll be coming up in the next two meetings, actually, both of those issues. So, and then finally, I'll be asking for an executive session.
Perfect.
It's on the agenda.
Okay, so, thank you so much, Dennis. Motion to hold executive session pursuant to general law, chapter 30A, section 21A6, to consider purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. If the chair declares that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body. Ms. Allen?
Do we have a first and a second?
Second.
Jim? You got first, we got second?
Who's first, you?
Yeah,
You make the motion, okay. Yep,
I'm
I'm gonna,
Sebastian with the second.
okay, hold the board to go into.
Is Chief Miller gonna be joining us?
Yes, I'm gonna do a separate
Excellent.
Zoom.
Yep.
Hold the board.
Yes.
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 Hillary goes, that's
the
second time she.
Yeah, Tim's gonna
Tim's gonna
join us
stay
as
through,
well.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay.